Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Podcast Anonymous, your West Coast foremost podcast on the 12 steps. I've got an amazing opportunity right now. I get to introduce you to a guy that has seen me at my worst, right? I haven't seen Robert in a couple of years. Well, it's been probably longer than that, probably 6, 7, 8 years. Robert, man, it's good to see you, brother.
You too, buddy.
It definitely is. Yeah, you guys, Robert has seen me. I mean, there's stories and there's stories, right? Like, and we'll probably get into some of these retarded stories of things that I've done.
Cannonballing.
Cannonball. So we'll get into the cannonball story. That was an idiot, right? But I was what I do have is I can say that I was 2.5 days sober when
Yeah.
I pulled that off. You know, hey Robert, so let's get into it, man. So you've been sober a long time now, Robert.
26 years.
26 years, man. That's crazy. So at one time, me and Robert, we had the same sponsor. I still love that man to this day. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but so we come from the same sponsorship lineage. You know, we've been taught the same things. And Robert, what was it that led you to where you're at today? I mean, so we remember the unmanageability, we remember the chaos. What was it that specifies your seat in the 12-step program that you're involved in?
Oh, it was the pain and loneliness,
Right,
the despair. I woke up one morning and I had done some incomprehensible, demoralizing
right,
things
right,
over the weekend, and I woke up one morning and I couldn't imagine my life without alcohol in it, and I just couldn't imagine taking another drink. And
right,
for a guy like me, that's the epitome of hell right there.
right,
Which way do you go? I can't stop drinking. I can't drink no more.
right.
You know,
And so, and the crazy thing, that's what led me to Idaho. So as you know, Robert, like I couldn't do it down there, right? Like I would
right?
string together a little bit, and it wasn't from a lack of fellowship, right? Like I had one of the greatest fellowships in the United States, and I was a part of it, and the men loved me. Yeah, man, I was just thinking about old man Leon a couple days ago,
Yeah,
and I would show up to the Alano Club, and him and oh God, I can't remember his name. Ralph would be sitting.
Ralph Harvey. Yep.
Ralph Harvey would be sitting in the back, right? And I'm just looking for somebody to call a mutual friend of ours to come pick me up because I'm tired, right?
Yep.
And Leon would say, "Boy, come here." And they'd be all sitting in the back, and there's probably 1,000 years in this back patio, right, of recovery. And he would call somebody, and that man would come pick me up. And and I remember him and Ralph, man, just telling, "Hey, when are you done? Right? Well, when are you just gonna just submit to this simple program?" So let's talk about when you first got here, Robert. What was it like when you first walked into the 12-step program that you're involved in?
I was completely lost. So I had been seeing a therapist, right?
Right,
And he we had tried everything to get my drinking under control, and nothing was working. And he actually fired me. He told me not to come back. That there wasn't anything else that he could possibly do to help me.
right,
And he suggested that I find a 12-step program. I needed to, something based in spiritual principles.
right,
And when I hit that demoralizing episode, I reached out and I called Alcoholics Anonymous, and
right,
they were the hotline, and they were going to send me to a meeting. And I said, well, I'm not really quite ready for that. Why don't you send me some information?
right,
And they sent me, they took down my address and they were going to put it in the mail. And so I went out that weekend and I wanted to do some research on Alcoholics Anonymous because I had absolutely no clue what it was about, right? And
right.
so I went to Barnes and Noble and I thought, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to look for some books and stuff. And the first book I found was AA Culture Cure,
Oh wow.
right? So right off the bat, I thought, I don't want to join no cult, man. This ain't
Right,
for me. And the second book I found was AA How It Failed Me, and I thought, well, it didn't work for this guy. I mean, it was so bad for this guy. He wrote a book. It's not going to work for me.
right,
And the third book I found was 7 Weeks to Safe Social Drinking for the Man That Is Not Yet Ready for the Abstinence of AA. And I thought, that's my book.
That's my
That's
book
what I need.
right there. Right.
Right there. That's what I need. So I bought that book and I went home on Labor Day weekend, and I got drunk every time I tried to read it. And it finally dawned on me on Monday that, this isn't social drinking. I've got a 32-ounce vodka tonic in a studio apartment by myself.
Right.
Trying to read a book on how to drink sociably.
Right. No shit.
And so, I had actually poured out all of my alcohol in my apartment over the 3 days, trying to stay sober.
Right.
And that Tuesday morning, the literature from AA came in the mail, and I can remember like it was yesterday, standing at the mailbox, hyperventilating, like, what do I do?
Right.
And they send you a brochure, the meeting schedule. That's all they sent me.
Right. Right.
So I'm on the phone to the hotline. Hey, I got your information, but there's no information on this thing. Well, you just pick a meeting and you go. And I said, well, it doesn't say when the semester starts. I don't want to start late. And it doesn't say how much the class costs, or how long it is or anything. Right. And so I was really just confused. And she said, you just show up. And then, I'm looking through that meeting schedule, and they're at different churches and, different places. And I called her back and I said, hey, look, I don't want a Jewish AA. I don't want a Catholic AA. I don't want Christian AA. I just want, and so she took all of those fears and all of my excuses for going to Alcoholics Anonymous, and she just threw them out the window. It wasn't affiliated with anything. It didn't cost anything.
Right.
I didn't even have to go.
Right.
And so, I picked a meeting and I went on September 8th of 1998. And, I haven't had to have a drink since.
Hey, it's crazy. So you bringing up those first two books that you were talking about, dude, I have been in some major online arguments with some fucking idiots this week. Right.
Right.
I'm going to tell you right now. And the crazy thing is they don't even have their facts right. Right. Like I watch this lady's TikTok and she's talking about, AA started in 1938. And I'm like, no, it didn't. It started in 1935. Right. Like, so she's sitting here talking shit about something, that was free. And what they're trying to do is sell their own bullshit. Right. They've all got these recovery programs and, this is what worked for me. And I'll charge you $3,000. Right. To come and get sober. And I'm thinking, when I got sober, I didn't have $3,000.
Right.
Right.
Me neither. My daughter just went to one that was $30,000.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, I just dropped the girl off at a detox and picked her up and shipped her off to Boise. And it was like, I couldn't remember, like it was up there. It was like $1,500 a day or something like that.
Right.
And her health insurance covered it, but I didn't have none of that. I had to go to AA. Right. I had to walk in the rooms, just like yourself, man. I finally walked in. I finally realized that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Right.
Right.
Well, I'm glad that it happened that way for me, that I had to do it through AA. I had to detox at home. I had the shakes and the jitters and sick and I had to get up and I would literally go home every day from work and lock myself in my apartment. Right. Which makes no sense because I could easily unlock the door and walk out. But I would literally lock myself in my apartment until a meeting started.
Well, and that's what it takes.
Yeah. And I was lucky because there was at that time, like 3 blocks away from me, there was a Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday night meeting at the same church, Wednesday night meeting at Kaiser building, which was right across the street. And Saturday and Sunday night meetings were right down the street. So I was within blocks of a week-long recovery schedule.
So let me ask you this, right? So you get to Alcoholics Anonymous, right? You start to get involved. You're going to meetings. What did it take for you to finally say, I got to find somebody to help me through this thing?
I probably came for about 3 or 4 months before I asked the first guy to sponsor me.
Right.
And I probably asked one of the sickest guys in AA to sponsor me. Right. Just insane, dude. Right. But I was completely comfortable talking to him. And I thought, this is a guy I could do my 5th step with who's not going to say, you did what? You know,
yeah.
he's going to just walk me
Right,
through it. And he
right,
did. He was the perfect first sponsor.
right,
Um, I
right.
had all these other guys that I thought would have been great that I asked or that I didn't ask. And I was so glad I picked him because he walked me through it, you know, and they took me to the camp out my first year at the camp out. So I got a year sobriety
Right.
and I was still working through my, you know, steps. And we get up there and he says, hey, him and Dan Stone came into the trailer and
Oh
they
yeah,
said, hey,
yeah,
look,
yeah,
we brought you up here to get you through fourth and fifth, right? You're
yeah.
gonna work, you're gonna cook, and when you're not cooking, you're gonna be in this trailer right in your fourth step. And
Right.
if you're not ready to do your fifth step on the way home, you're not getting a ride home. You
Wow.
know, and we're 5 hours from home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a long
And I
way.
literally took him serious, right? So I
Yeah,
sat in there and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and I can remember my sponsor, Mike McAfee was my first sponsor. He walked in
yeah.
there. He said, "Let me see what you got." And so I handed him my fourth step, and he just shredded it. You know, and he said, 4 column inventory, like the book says. You know, I don't
Right,
want a goddamn essay.
right,
And
right, right.
I was so pissed off. I had to start all over, but you know, I got it done. And that saved my life. That trip to that camp out, and that's one of the reasons why that camp out is so special to me, because my whole life changed in
Right.
3 days.
Hey, is Dan Stone still alive?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
He's going to be at the camp out. He's going to have 48 years here in December.
God, him and his wife are amazing.
Yep.
Amazing. So for all you guys, there's a camp out, right? I'm not going to mention nothing, but it's the most prestigious men's retreat, and it's not program. It has nothing to do with the program. It's just a bunch of program members, and it is. I've been twice, and it's the greatest thing that I've ever been to. Right, I've been to some men's retreats since I've been up here, aren't even close. That not even close, right? And this one's it's a little rough, right? Like our buddy Steve, right? So my little brother last year was started to go into meetings, right? And he asked Steve because Steve told him about Broken Neck, right? And he says, "Hey, Steve, I want you to take me to Broken Neck." Steve says, "No, I ain't taking nobody." Right? So, hey, he goes, "Nah, man, last guy I took got voted off the island, right? So I'm not taking nobody no more." So my little brother calls me. He goes, "Hey, man, Steve said that you can sponsor me to go to the camp out." And I said, "Yeah, you're gonna have to get a sponsor and go through the steps before I take you to the fucking camp out, right?"
Right.
You know, because it's embarrassing, right? Like
Right.
it's fucking embarrassing. You know, I remember my first time going. A friend of ours, he found me. I was detoxing opiates, and he pulls up in his fifth wheel and says, "Hey, get in the truck." Right. And I believe he called you or Dave and said, "Look, I got Anthony. He's not fucking registered, but he needs to come." Right.
Right.
So they're fucking dragging me up there, and we had to stop probably every 30 miles because I'm shitting and throwing up everywhere. And we get up there, and he tells me, "All right." And I was on morning kitchen, right? So I'm cooking breakfast, and he says, "You're going to be of service," right? And the cool thing was I didn't catch much, right? Because I was kind of fucking in, you know what I mean? The group, and I remember, I think it was you who did the closing ceremonies. And I got up and that, man, I wish I still had that book. I lost that book.
Yeah. I put the bobber around your neck.
A fucking bobber around my neck. So we're going to, well, so I'm going to tell the story right now, right? So June, it's not going to be there this year, but June Lake, right outside of Bishop. It's in September, so the water's every bit of 46 degrees, right? So, and I'm about 3 days sober, right? And I'm fishing with a couple buddies, super good friends of mine, and we're on this boat, and we see a boat full of old timers, right? Like the fucking creme de creme are on this fucking boat, right? And a buddy of ours says, "Hey, we're gonna pull up, and I want you to cannonball them." Well, my fucking dumbass, we pull up to this boat. I jump off the top of this boat to cannonball them, and I hit that water and lost my breath. Like I'd never done. That was the dumbest thing that I could have done at that moment. And The problem was they couldn't get me back in the boat.
Yeah, you came up crying.
I came up crying. It was so fucking cold, right? It was so cold. And our buddy Steve at the time, he was every bit at 280.
Yeah,
He was a
he
monster.
was on the back of the boat. He never stopped fishing. I have pictures. The whole time that Pat and Richie are trying to pull you in the front of
Yeah.
the boat,
Oh, fuck.
he's back there fishing, right? And we're trying to keep the two boats from colliding and squishing you in the middle. And Leon's yelling at us.
Oh, I remember all I could hear was, Richie Mo, get him out of that fucking water.
Right.
My legs were going numb. It was so cold.
Right. They had to drive you to the beach.
Drive me to the beach so I could climb up, and it took me probably 2 hours to thaw out.
Yeah.
And I remember Leon ripped Richie's ass for that shit for fucking days. Like, yeah. I had never heard any kind of fear in Leon's voice. He was scared. He thought this fucking newcomer's gonna die.
Right. Well, sometimes you gotta get new guys do stupid shit so they learn.
Stupid shit. But man, this is, any of you guys out there that don't think that you have fun in recovery, I've had more fun in recovery than I ever did drinking. Yep. Ever did drinking. I've been blessed, just like Robert, man, I've got friends from San Diego all the way up here, right? Men that I could call on a whim, and if I need help, and they're coming, and that's what this fellowship's done. Robert, what's been your experience over the years? Because I know you guys got more than just that camp out, right? You're involved in you guys got your little barbecue team that you guys do.
Yeah, so I started that. So we decided to do this barbecue competition, and and we got done, right? And my sponsor says, when you were drinking and stuff, and you're out drunk driving, and you're doing all these things, you owe the community an immense. You guys should take this barbecue thing and do some community service work with it.
Right.
And so, I didn't think nothing of it. It really wasn't what I had planned. We started doing these community service barbecues.
Right.
And I remember one of the first big ones we did, I signed on to do feed the homeless for Thanksgiving. We were going to make 500 plates. And we got, Congress people were involved donating turkeys, and I got 55 turkeys I got to cook, and all this stuff. And I started freaking out about the weekend before, right? Because I had never cooked anything this big. And Rufus came up, and we're walking around looking at stuff, and he says, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Man, I bit off more than I can chew. I don't think I can pull this off."
Right.
And he said, "You know what? You're being a maximum service to God and his fellows. You will not fail."
Right.
Right. And I had 40 people show up to volunteer to help cook that morning, and serve and set up. And we served smoked fresh turkeys, homemade green beans with bacon and onions, homemade stuffing with homemade gravy, and 55 homemade pumpkin pies for the homeless. Right. Spared no expense. And it really was just a game changer in my life. If I'm doing something that's of service, I have the confidence after that event that I can pull off anything.
And that's crazy. You talked about the homeless. So I just kind of had the same discussion with my sponsor about 3 months ago. And it was crazy how God worked it out, right? I ended up, I met this lady, her and her husband, they volunteer feeding the homeless every Sunday at an Adventist church in Lewiston. And I'm like, so I went one time, right? And I get there, and everybody that volunteers to help feed they're all 75 plus years old, right? And I show up, and and I was I was scared. I had a lot of fear, like these church people are going to look at me and go, "What the fuck?" The relief when I show up in there, and because I pick up the slack, right, for these people.
Right.
And just, I mean, to where it's now a commitment, right? Like my schedule every week is scheduled around that. And I try to get the guys that I work with up here, I try to tell them, look, man, I know the book says, work with another alcoholic will save the day every time. I think it's work with anybody.
Right. So the book, and I stress this all the time. when you're working through the steps, it says the main purpose of the 12 steps is to fit yourself to be of maximum service to
Right.
God and his fellows. Now, nowhere in there does it say alcoholics. It just
Right.
says God and his fellows. So
Right.
that's to your wife, to your kids, to your neighbors, to your employees, whoever. It's to whoever, your fellows.
Right. You know,
Right.
and that's the thing, right? Like I try to get these guys, you know, I got guys that I work with and they drag their feet, you know, and I try to explain to them, look, man, 6 months, right? If you give me 6 months and we meet once a week, right? And I live out in the middle of nowhere, so I meet with them on Zoom, you know, and I read them the book, and I'm trying to teach them what I've been taught, and you know, and I set the example, but they just, I don't know if it's they got to knock their head a couple more times to finally submit, you know, and then when you use that word submit, they're like, oh man, I ain't submitting to nothing. I'm like, look, Alcoholics Anonymous has given me everything, guys.
Right.
All my friends, every job I've had since I've been up here has come from Alcoholics Anonymous. Uh, my places to stay, you know, I mean, everything has come through the rooms and the fellowship, and people just don't grasp. There's no
everything that's good in my life is a direct result of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right. So let me ask you this. Okay, so let's get into the process, right? So you've found a sponsor,
right.
You're working the steps. Now, what was your experience, right? And like you said before, you know, my sponsor ripped up the first one.
Right. So I wrote I wrote my 4-step inventory, right? And I was so scared I was gonna mess things. I wanted to get everything I could possibly get into this first 4-step, right? I mean, I really embellished everything, and I can remember I did my 5th step on the way home from that broken neck from Mammoth to Tehachapi.
Right.
I didn't even realize we were in Tehachapi, you know, and I can remember just taking a deep breath and what a relief, you know, just getting all of that off my shoulders, and you know, and then I went out and I started making amends,
right?
And that's where the real work begins, right? And so, you know, they always say, you know, it's steps 1, 2, 3, drink, 1, 2, 3, drink,
right?
And that recovery doesn't start until the 5th step. So if you haven't done a 5th step, you haven't really even started recovery. You're just dangling along.
Well, that's what, you know, and there's a reason why, like, all our promises are at the 9th step, right?
Right.
Like I try, you know, these guys, you hear them sharing meetings, they're like, oh, 4 and 5, it's so bad. Fuck you. 8 and 9 sucks.
Right.
And 4 and 5's easy, right? I just make this list. We go through a couple columns. I share it with a dude I got a friendship with, right? But then I got to go out and make these fucking amenses.
Yeah. Some of them are hard. And some of them, you know, you may face jail time. I mean, I had one. I was scared to death. I thought, man, I'm going to have to stand before this church congregation and, you know, and tell them I was involved in a robbery and I'm going to jail and all this shit, right? And my sponsor said, hey, you know, let's stick that on the back burner. We'll get to it. We'll figure out something, right? And a couple years later, one of our members is a deacon at that church.
Oh, fuck.
Right? And he says, hey, I think I got a problem to your solution, right? Or a solution to your problem. He said, let's see if we can't make amends to the deacon, which is a friend of ours. Right. And you can make restitution and we'll figure out whatever. And so we ran it by Dan Stone and Richard Rill.
Yeah.
And both of them signed off on it, that it was that would be a plausible amends. And so I sat down with this friend of mine and told him everything that happened and came up with a payment plan. And I mailed payments in anonymously to the church and paid off that debt.
And that's what, so
you just never know how it's going to work out.
So that's what we, you know, because there's a part in the book that says, you know, now we need to make amends to those who did not hurt us. Right. And so you know, last year I'm like, all right, I got this, man, done it. I'm teaching guys. And then I'm at this men's retreat here in Cottonwood. And I had, you know, the 4 years I've been reading the book, I'd never caught that part. Right. And this guy was sharing, he's doing this workshop on 4 and 5. And it said the people we had not hurt. And I went, and the light went off, right? Like, oh, fuck.
The people that hurt us, yeah.
You know, I said, oh, shit. Or the people that didn't hurt us, right?
Right.
And I went, oh, fuck. I owe $200 to my buddy Nathan from the fucking sophomore year of high school because I stole it from him. So I found this guy on the internet, and he lives in Maine now, right? It's 30 years later, and I just messaged him. We were best friends. I said, hey, man, what's your address? And he's like, why? Man, I got something I got to send you. I put this fucking money in an envelope, right? And I wrote a letter and I sent it to him. And the guy, he called me back and he's like, are you, a couple of days later, he's like, are you fucking serious? Like, he goes, I forgot about that. I said, yeah, but I haven't.
Right.
Right. That shit's been tormenting me for 35
now,
years. Right.
And no more.
Right. And it's no more. And the craziest thing just happened Wednesday night. I'm at a meeting because my dad moved up here last year. He retired. He moved up here. Now my brother and his wife are moving up here Friday. And I'm sitting there and I'm telling my buddy Danny about my brother moving up here. And all of a sudden I went, oh, fuck, I owe my brother a snowboard from high school. I stole his snowboard and sold it for drugs. I owe this motherfucker a snowboard, right? And Danny's like, you need to go write that down. And that's the thing. Is this, people think this thing, it never ends.
Right. It doesn't.
So let me add. So, man, that's an amazing story, right? And that's the stuff, that your story right now about making that amends. The first video that I had, a lady reached out after hearing a buddy of mine, Danny, say something about that. And she's like, man, I thank you for that. I remembered something I needed to do and I put a check in the mail and I got rid of that, and
yeah.
And that was the whole part of this, podcast, right? Is sharing our experience, our strength, our hope, and we just kind of try to see if, somebody grabs something that'll keep them sober the next day.
Right.
So, so moving forward, right? So we get to 12, right? Carrying the message. So you obviously get your chance to work with guys today.
Yeah. I sponsor some guys.
Right.
Yep. And I'm always one of those, I see people, I'm on step 10. Well, how are you on step 10? Once you do 9, 10, 11, and 12 are daily.
Right.
So
right.
There is no, I can't ever see how these people are. Well, I've been on step 11 for 3 months.
What the fuck? Yeah.
What are you doing? And so I started, when I had 10 years of sobriety, I had a bunch of guys that had 12, 13, 14 years went out.
Yeah.
Right? And it scared the hell out of me. And I thought, these were guys that I admired, right? And I thought they had it going on.
Right.
And now they're gone. And I thought, I don't want that to be me. And so I started a Sunday night men's book study, step study group, right? And we started out with about 22 guys. We did Dr. Paul's 12-step.
Yeah, I've done it with you guys. Yeah.
And we got done. There's like 8 of us left.
Right.
So we did another round. We did it again. And we started with 26 guys. And there was the same 8 of us left again, right? And I thought, man, this just isn't accomplishing what I thought it was going to accomplish. And one of the old timers, Ed McCaskey, says, well, you're still sober.
Right.
So, right, that taught me that, I'm working these steps with these guys. It's not so much for them. It's keeping me sober, right? If they stay sober, that's great.
Right, it's icing on the cake, right? Yeah.
But I got to do it for me too. And so, and I've watched a ton of guys come in and get sober and their whole lives change. And that's the miracle. That's the payoff for staying sober.
Right.
Right. And Ed McCaskey shared that with me one time. He said, when you see somebody's lights come on, right, when you worked them out of the gutter and watch them become a productive member of society, that's the huge payoff, man. That's the reward that you do not want to miss.
I fucking miss Ed too, man. Yeah. I need to get down there this year, man. I miss all these guys, and I'm sorry I'm tearing up. I fucking think about one, man, and it fucking breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Every time I think about that motherfucker. So, man, it's wild, and that's what I try to get these guys to understand, man. The joy, the book talks about walking in the sunlight of the spirit and being happy, joyous, and free, right? Like, I watch some of these guys on a TikTok and they're talking about recovery, or they own recovery homes and fucking acting stupid and shit. And I'm like, dude, you have not had a spiritual experience, right? There is no way that you've had a spiritual experience still acting like you're loaded.
Right.
And I don't know when in the last 5 years that I had this spiritual experience, but something happened at some time, because my whole outlook on things have changed.
Right.
You know,
That's good.
and let me ask you this, right? So obviously you got sober, you were still single, right?
Yep.
So you've had the opportunity, man. I know your wife personally. Uh, you've raised some children.
Yep. 5 kids together
Yeah,
between the
five
two of us.
kids. I mean, you guys have done amazing things. Maybe I can get your wife to come on here too. I know she's got an amazing story too. Uh,
Yeah.
man, yeah, I think about one guy. I mean, I get fucking choked up. I love that fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Fucking dingling.
Yep.
But man, guys, well, whew,
But we still do our Sunday night step study group. That's one of the best meetings I go to. It's a men's stag.
yeah.
Just sometimes we just sit and read the book and then talk about it.
So I'm trying to. So I got the idea of starting a men's meeting here.
Yeah.
I went down to, like I said, I went to a camp out at Elko, Nevada. Awesome men's group, very traditions oriented. You know what I mean? That's the one thing I miss about Bakersfield that we don't have up here is we don't have old timers to tell you to shut up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Leon used to say all the time, "We're killing the newcomer with kindness."
right.
You know?
I remember somebody.
Shut up, sit down, and listen.
Oh God, yeah. A good friend of ours used to hit me in the shoulder, said, "You killed enough people, Anthony. Shut the fuck up." Oh God, I've seen old Ralph Harvey do it too. I've
Yeah.
seen Leon do
Well,
that shit.
Ralph don't mince with words.
No, 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 man. I miss that guy too, man. We used to go to the Lano on I think it was Sunday nights
Yeah.
back when they were still smoking and fucking
We just went to the international together.
God, that'd be amazing. Hey, when you see him, you tell him I love him and I finally got sober.
I will.
Finally got sober. Well, guys, hey man, I've had this awesome opportunity. Man, Robert, thank you, man. Seeing you just brought back a whole lot of memories and good memories. And man, guys, I hope you guys have gotten something from my brother's message, and we will see you guys next